Exponents and fractions, decimal numbers, are all about expressing part of a whole.
Hey 6th graders, Mrs. Freeman here. Tonight's lesson, 2.4, is understanding decimals. Our objectives tonight are I can read and write decimals, and write decimals in fractions and words. If you think back to the work that you did with base 10 blocks, the red square would represent the whole, and that whole could be broken down then into 10 tenth strips, and then the 10th strips could be broken down into hundredths cubes, and one whole would be represented by 100 of those small cubes. You can see on the screen the place value chart, and you can see that the decimal separates the whole numbers over here on the left from the decimal place values over here on the right. As we move from the decimal point to the right, we're dividing the place value by 10 because tenths are 10 times smaller than the ones. And as we move again to the right, our place value is now 10 times smaller than the tenths, and that makes it the hundredths. And one more hop, we're 10 times smaller again than the hundredths, and that's the thousandths. And one more hop to the right makes the 10 thousandths, which is 10 times smaller than the thousandths place value. So as we move to the left of the decimal point, we start with the ones place value, and as we keep moving to the left, each place value is increasing by 10. So the tens is 10 times greater than the ones, the hundreds is 10 times greater than the tens, and the thousands is 10 times greater than the hundreds, and the 10 thousandths is 10 times greater than the thousands. Let's see if we can review those place value names with the digit above. So taking a look at the 2, it's 2 place values to the left of the decimal point, and therefore it's a whole number, and it's the tens place value. We're looking at the 9, that is 3 place values to the right of the decimal, making it a part of the whole, and therefore it's the thousandths. 3 is 1 place value to the right of the decimal point, and that would be the tenths. And then the 4 is in the hundredths place value. It's 2 place values away from the decimal point. For number 1, I'd like you to copy that number into your math notebook and then write the place value of the following digits. When you're ready to check your work, press play. How'd you do on your spelling? Hopefully you remembered all those THs when you were using decimal place values. The second half of our work tonight is writing decimals, fractions, and in word form. And something that can be helpful is thinking about the place value chart as you say the decimal, because the last digit you read is the last place value in the place value chart. So for example, we have the decimal 3 and 25 hundredths. Well, it'd be 3.25, and the 5 ends in the hundredths place value, so that's how we would say it in words, 3 and 25 hundredths. Then we would write it as a fraction, 3 and 25 over 100, but we say 3 and 25 hundredths. Now this time we're being given the digits in the place value, so then to write this in decimal form would be 212 and then we want to make sure we have the zeros holding our place values because the 9 represents the thousandths place value. So those zeros are important to hold the place value. The fraction we would write would be 212, and we would write 9, and then it would be thousandths as our denominator. And then to write it in words, it would be 212 and 9 thousandths. In your math notebook, complete problem number 2 by finding the decimal and writing it out in words. When you're ready to check your work, press play. Write the following decimal and fraction for problem number 3. When you're ready to check your work, press play. And one more. Again for number 4, write the decimal and the fraction, and when you're ready to check, press play. Tonight's lesson 2.4 was on understanding decimals. I can read and write decimals, and write decimals in fractions and words. Review any part of this video you wish, and then head on over to Schoology.com and take the quiz. See you.